A cup final appearance, still a chance to make the Champions League group stage for next year, and the chance to win a European trophy. Are we being a little too harsh on Maurizio Sarri? Are Chelsea's fans maybe judging him a little too harshly? Well, let's compare Sarri's first season numbers with those of a couple of his predecessors. Craig, as we take a look here, Jose Mourinho 2013-14 did not win the league, but managed 82 points, plus 44 goal difference. Conte, of course, did win the league in his first season in charge. And Sarri there, currently in 4th place and looking to tie up that spot with a couple of wins in their final 2 games.
Well, you correct me if I'm wrong, Ross. Mourinho won it in his 2nd season.
He did.
Right, now, I think even the wildest optimist wouldn't expect Sarri to overcome Liverpool and Man City in his 2nd season, not with the repair job that needs. The interesting thing was the goals, the goal difference. And clearly that is an area where it has been a huge struggle for Chelsea this season. You know, Alvaro Morata has been surprisingly a poor signing because, I don't know about you, but I always felt he had, playing for Juventus and Real Madrid, had a good level of talent and ability and strength and power. Everything would be perfect for leading the line for Chelsea, and it just looked as if he was short of confidence. It just didn't happen. So, and now obviously Higuain's come in, and that's another thorn in the side of Maurizio Sarri, because he would have pushed for him. So when we're looking at where it goes from here, from Sarri, there are plus points, and obviously there are, you know, negative points. And one of them would be, well, you brought Higuain in, you pushed for him, and he's been hopeless.
Yeah, when you look at where they're really situated now, they've got one striker potentially under the age of 30 planning to stay for next season, and that would be Callum Hudson-Odoi. Everyone else in the first team squads, either over 30 or, in the case of Eden Hazard, is quite possibly out the door. Yeah,
and they've got the transfer ban looming large with appeals galore, and who knows what's going to happen there. Look, there are some positives out of this. You know, if you're picking the bones out of it, the Europa League, they are the favourites, I believe, at the moment. They've had an easy run by other team standards. If you look at Arsenal having to go and put out Napoli, albeit Napoli not as good as they were under Maurizio Sarri, ironic enough. At the beginning of the season, they played some good football, but then they got bogged down in this. I'm not even going to mention the word Sarri. I'm not going to finish it. Sorry, but I can't. But they got bogged down in this slow, pedestrian play, and I think the fans got frustrated. In fact, the fans did get frustrated. Now, he made some personnel changes that I think he had to. You know, Loftus-Cheek was getting more game time. You mentioned Hudson-Odoi, unfortunately he's injured. But those were a couple of players that had to come in. The one thing I got with Sarri is, you know, people will tell me, Gab McCoy, say, well, he's stubborn, that's who he is. He's never really tried to tinker with a system to try and get the best, or try and get more out of that squad. And I don't think that's good management. If you think back to Conte, that graphic showed he won the title in the first season in charge. He was never going to win the title until he got pumped at Arsenal. And then he went, right, forget that. We're doing it my way. Back to the back three. This is with the wing backs. And then they went on some crazy winning streak of like 13, 14 games. I can't remember what it was. And the one frustration is for Sarri, he's never done that. And I understand he hasn't changed before in Italy, but that's a sign of an inflexible manager.
Do you think that he will have learned and taken it on board this season, however it plays out between now and the end? Let's say he gets given the chance to stay on, he has a 3-year contract. Do you think that he will switch it around a little bit?
I think he will stay on, but I'm not convinced he's the right man for the job. But I think he deserves at least another year. But I'm not convinced he's the right man for the job. And I kind of think that's how, I'm surmising here, that's how the Chelsea hierarchy see it. Is that the likelihood is they'll give him another run, but I don't think they're convinced. I certainly think the fans are not convinced. But what he'll do is, and he's probably going to get top 4, probably. Them and Tottenham are looking likely. What he'll do is, he'll go and try and find other players, if indeed they can sign anybody, and he'll try and play the exact same way, but with different personnel. And Jorginho, because he'll play. And the worry is that teams are just figuring out Teams are a little bit more clever than that now. You know, they were quite easy to stop this season, Chelsea.
Yeah, they lost. It's interesting where they lost and where they came unstuck, because like both Arsenal and Tottenham away games, both games on Merseyside, they lost those. And then really weird, the defeat to Bournemouth heavily, hammered by Manchester City, you know, and I think a home loss to Leicester as well. What do the fans want to see out of this team? Because he's got the same winning percentage as Mourinho in his first spell in charge over the course of the whole spell.
You mentioned those teams, and actually, if you think, but for those that can remember, the first big game I think for him was Arsenal at home, in which they won. And people were going, oh, look at this great style of play. Arsenal should have had 5 goals at half time, for those that can remember that game. I mean, how the hell they didn't go in 5 whatever up was incredible. So that was an escape. I don't know. I think Chelsea fans have been used to, you know, they've been used to that roller coaster. I call it the Real Madrid model, not comparing clubs, but comparing hiring and firing, and how that's brought some sort of success to Real Madrid. And when you look at other clubs like Arsenal and one or two others, they say, well, we went with longevity with Arsene Wenger, while Chelsea were hiring and firing in the early 2000s, late 90s, particularly early 2000s and onwards. And they were winning a league, and then there was stuff. Then they were winning a league, then they were winning an FA Cup, then they were winning a league, then they wouldn't. Then they, you know, so Abramovich saw that as success. Write a cheque, fire a manager, get another one in, get success. Write a cheque, fire a manager. I kind of don't think that's where he's at, by the way, at the moment. I think he's sort of scaled back from the writing too many cheques, but I think he'll still fire now and again. But I look at Man City and Liverpool, Ross, and I think if they continue in that upward trend, I don't see anybody, including Man United, Chelsea, and certainly not Arsenal, and probably not Tottenham with the finance. I just don't see anybody pegging them back. They're just way ahead at the moment.
So if they take the Europa League, they get a Champions League place, whether they finish top 4 or not. Let's say they do finish top 4. They've had the runners-up in the League Cup. Chelsea fans still feeling a little bit underperformed.
Yeah, I think Chelsea fans will be probably saying, well, great, we're back in the Champions League football next year. That means we can go and sign better players. Oh, hold on a minute. We probably can't sign anybody. So have we got a manager that can work with what he's got? All right, Christian Pulisic is coming in, as good a player as he is. He's not going to fill the boots of Eden Hazard, let's be honest. Too big to ask, too much to ask, going to London to do that. But then you look at the fact, if you can't sign any players, do you have a manager who's flexible enough to work with what he's got to get results? And the answer is probably no. So transfer ban is a worry, and it's not doom and gloom, but ultimately he could be working with the same group of players minus Eden Hazard, and that's going to be another struggle. So if he gets in the top 4 this year and he gets Champions League football, they damn well better enjoy it, because it's going to be another hard year without any signings, and losing Eden Hazard is just going to be tough.
Okay, well, of course they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It seems that Sarri is going to have to rethink that maybe in the summer and learn from what's happened in his maiden season to plot a route to further success with Chelsea in the future, whatever is left of this season for them.